Hey guys, it's Hakai here, and today I'm going to be making a video talking about some of my grievances that I have for John Bernthal's Punisher. It's been a video that I've wanted to do for a while, just haven't figured out a way that I could properly be able to do it. Um, but I'm gonna quickly go through some of my problems, kind of give you guys some explanations. That being said, I'm going to start off with my 3 reasons for why I feel the way that I do about John Bernthal's Punisher. 1 is comic accuracy, 2 is character progression and regression, and 3 is classic suit. So, the first reason being comic accuracy. First, we need to understand what type of person Punisher is, or Frank Castle is. Frank Castle in the comics, going through his origin real quickly, was a Marine. Um, Frank Castle has been a Marine for a while. He served in a couple of tours, and in those tours, Frank Castle always felt as though, or he ended up figuring out when he was on tour, that the only place that he felt like at home to truly be himself was on a battleground. When Frank Castle came home after serving his tour, he felt empty inside. He did enjoy being around his family, but he felt like he had no real purpose in life but to be a family man. Until his family was murdered. Frank Castle and his family went out for a picnic in in a park, and there was a mob shooting, and because the mob didn't want any witnesses, they ended up killing Frank Castle and his family, or they tried to kill Frank Castle. Frank Castle survived. That gave Frank Castle the reason to become the Punisher. After that day, Frank Castle was dead, but some also believe that after Frank Castle figured out that war was the only place that he felt like himself, that's when Frank Castle truly died and the Punisher character started to become a thing. As the comics go on, Frank vows to himself to put a war on crime, and he makes it his mission to track down any lowlife, any scum that he believes deserves punishing. And on top of that, he believes that they are irredeemable. He believes that the people that he's killing have no redeeming qualities about themselves, and that it is a disgrace to keep them in the world and to continue to keep on fighting. Now, moving on to MCU John Bernthal. MCU Punisher, not MCU John Bernthal. MCU Punisher has a problem where they changed his backstory. They changed MCU's Punisher backstory to better fit something that they can present out to the wider media, because it's hard to market a mass murderer. I think that's how Marvel feels. That's why they treat the Punisher how they do in a lot of his older comic runs, when he had the power of the hand, and he was rolling around with the hand and stuff like that. But in MCU's Punisher case, his family was murdered due to a conspiracy because he joined a special Black Ops unit team that was basically made to handle missions that you can't send the normal army on. And to cover it up, his family and him were meant to be murdered, but Frank Castle survived. Frank Castle then also preaches that he wanted revenge. He gets his revenge, but the problem between both of those is Frank Castle in the comic books never has given any interest in quitting being the Punisher. Once he became the Punisher in the comics, it was no more Frank Castle. It was no more normal life. Even when he did have, significant others, because in the comics he eventually ends up dating Elektra. He's still the Punisher. He's still the Punisher at the end of the day. His war on crime is never ending. Like, he feels that that's the only purpose that he has for a living. Meanwhile, when we get to MCU Punisher has a problem with quitting being the Punisher. He feels as though a whole completely different character. And that also goes in with the way that they both act and mannerize each other. MCU Punisher is aggressive. He's loud. He feels like a walking giant aggressive man, when comic Punisher is more quiet. That's why a lot of people akin Punisher in the comics to being Batman with guns, because the Punisher in the comics We've been shown times where he's came up with really good plans to execute whatever he needs to execute. We haven't really gotten that for John Bernthal's Punisher, but a couple of times. Now we get to character progression and regression. My biggest problem also with John Bernthal's Punisher is we were just talking about before. Comic Punisher has never quit being the Punisher at any point in time, but MCU Punisher has the problem where he's consistently quitting on a consistent basis. Since we were introduced to Punisher in Daredevil season 2 of the Netflix show, all the way until Punisher's special presentation on Disney Plus, he's quit about, I think, 4 to 3 times being the Punisher. And that is not indicative of his character. The reason why they continue to keep on having the Punisher quit is because they feel like it's hard to market a mass murderer, like I said a couple of minutes ago. But in progression with that, it makes it hard for people to get into the Punisher as a character if his motives don't feel as if they do when as if Punisher in the comics, how his motives feel. They just don't feel the same. A lot of the times I see I was watching the Punisher in the MCU, and I'm seeing him quit, and I'm like, it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't give me, like, when I see John Bernthal's Punisher, I think the most dangerous that we've seen John Bernthal's Punisher is in Daredevil season 2, where him and Matt were doing the bickering back and forth. And we did get a little bit of that in Daredevil Born Again, but again, they had him quit. They had him feel like he needs to regret being the Punisher when that's never indicative of his character. And I argue with a lot of people when it comes down to this, and a lot of people really don't understand what I mean when I say that it's not indicative of the Punisher in the comics, mainly just because a lot of people are so used to John Bernthal's Punisher that when it comes down to the comics, a lot of them look at the comics like they're weirdly, even though the comics are what the source material should be. The comics should be what the source material that they're basing it off of. Then we get to his comic suit, or the way that John Bernthal's Punisher looks. I think the best look that we've ever had for John Bernthal's Punisher was in Daredevil season 2, even though he didn't have the skull on rarely, or if he didn't, I don't think he did have the skull on. I think his look at the end of his Disney Plus special presentation is not bad, but this Jersey Shore haircut that John Bernthal has is so fucking trash. I'm sorry. I cannot imagine the Punisher taking 10 fucking minutes out of his day to go get a haircut when he's supposed to be some guy that's an unrelenting murderer on crime. It doesn't work out. I hope that in the MCU moving forward that we get to see Punisher in sort of a classic suit. And there's so many suits that they can do. They can use Punisher's War Journal suit. They can do the one where he doesn't have the black and white gloves, but he just has the spandex suit. Or they can still give him a more tactical look and still give him the white gloves and the white boots. It really just all depends on how they want to do it. But those are my grievances about the Punisher. Let me know if you guys feel the same way. I'm going to also be watching Brand New Day so I can give my take on how Brand New Day shows the Punisher. I'm hoping that they've done, good. I hear really good things that the Punisher is doing, what the Punisher should be doing. So I'm very excited. I will have other videos where I am talking about topics like this as well. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know what topics you want me to talk about. Let me know what things that you guys want to hear me maybe rant about or maybe give my opinion towards. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.